Hey, welcome back to class. In today's class, we're gonna be learning 2 new strikes and we're gonna finish off learning our basic stances. So let's get started. First thing is gonna be our basic stances. So we're gonna quickly review the first 4 that we've already gone over, and I'm gonna say it and I want you to actually do it before I go to it so that I know that you remember it. And then we're gonna learn number 5. So basic stance number 1 is go. Good. Basic stance number 2. Basic stance number 3. Basic stance number 4. And basic stance number 5. All right, so basic stance number 5 is the new one. We're going to try to have this at a 90-degree angle here as we're going for it. I want you to try to catch it so that your arm is in the middle of the chuck. Notice how I'm not all the way at the bottom of the chuck, nor am I all the way at the top. I'm gonna try not to have it caught on the string here or anything like that. I usually do this by tensing up my hands as I'm bringing it right underneath, and I'm able to catch it directly underneath the arm, just like this. So now let's go back from 5, let's go to 4. And 3, 2, 1. Now let's go to 3, 5, 2, 1, 4, 2, 3, 5. Good. So that was just our basic stances. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a basic stance. It's just a position to have a reference point at, so you know, hey, if I'm about to start a combination, I might start it in basic stance number 4, where I'm just holding it in this position. Or maybe I'm going to start it in number 3, where I'm holding it in this position. It's just a reference point for you to know, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to review the strikes that we had learned in the previous classes. So the first one that we're going to go over is going to be our upward strike number 1. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do this 20 times total, so it's going to be 10 on each side. Let's start in basic stance number 4 and begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, try to go right up that center line, 9, 10, catch it so it's horizontal, 11, 12, try to catch it in the black every time, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. No problem, right? So now we're gonna go to upward strike number 2. Now before I do it, I want you to do it. Now's your time to do it. When I do this, that means do the thing. Okay, upward strike number 2. So we're just adding that inward, outside circle as soon as the tip of the chuck that we're holding is at our solar plexus. So I'm gonna count these ones out now. I'm gonna count this first few. Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Miss it? Go again. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Great job. Finish up if you're not done. And next we're going to go to downward strike number 1. So go ahead and show me downward strike number 1. Great job. So downward strike number 1, going mostly down that center line, trying to catch it in that black and still trying to have that horizontal as I'm catching it. 20 of these. Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll slow it down a little bit. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now do downward strike number 2. Okay, if you just added an outward, outside circle to it, you'd be correct. Ready? 20 of these. Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, slow down a little bit, 12, my apologies if I'm going too fast, 13, I know if we mess up on a mistake, it makes it harder, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Great job. So those were the strikes that we had learned in the previous class. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cover the spinning that we didn't cover in our last class. So we talked about it, right? The difference between our inside and our outside, outside, and our inward and our outward. Okay, so in the last class we did our outside circles, both inwards and outwards. In this class we're going to do our inside circles. So we're going to start off in our right hand and we're going to do an inside inward circle, just like this. And when you're doing this, I want you to try to make it so that as you're looking at it, you're going up the center line of something. For me, I've got a camera and I want to hit my camera and I want to keep it right there. So I don't want to make it so that it's going, see how it's going at this angle, right? I want it to be up and down and to the front. And I also don't want to go here where it starts to turn, like I got a shield in my hand now. I want it here. So it's straight up and down with reference to my center. Now when I'm doing this, the chuck that I'm holding, I could do it so that I'm pointing inwards. When that happens, a lot of time I get pretty close to myself and sometimes I'll hit myself on that. So I want to actually point the chuck out, but slightly inward or towards the inside. It's going to make that sound, which you can probably hear, which is the string popping off over part of the chuck, right? The tip of the chuck as I'm doing this. Now, when I do that, I know I'm more pointed. So I want the tip of the chuck that I'm holding pointed towards the inside, right close to that center line. If I go too straight, right, I'm just going to end up hitting myself with the chuck. So it has to be slightly tilted. And then again, I want to control the angle. I don't want to angle quite like this, unless I choose to do that. But for now, I want you to have it as straight up and down as possible. Okay, so now we're going to switch hands and we're going to do the same thing. So it's going to be an inside, inward, circle. So just keep this spin going. Now you probably realize with your non-dominant hand, it is a bit harder to keep it not from going sideways like that or from turning like this, as I just talked about. I want to try to keep it center. But with your non-dominant hand, if you make more mistakes, well, everyone does, so it's okay. Doesn't matter that much. Just keep going. Try to point that chuck as much forward as you can without losing it or without making it so it hits yourself like that. Okay, and now we're going to do an outward inside circle. So it's going to be on the inside. So I'm just going to go out and away from us as we're doing this. Same thing, I want you to try to find that center line and I want you to try to keep that circle going on that center line, not angled, not sideways. Try to go on that center line. A drill that you can do that's a little bit difficult but will really help with this is actually going and practicing going to the sideways motion, right? And then making these small adjustments and trying to go back, right? So you notice the chuck that I'm holding doesn't actually tilt very much at all, right? I'm keeping it relatively in the same location and I'm just doing little motions with my arm and my wrist to change the trajectory of the chuck that's swinging, right? I'm basically keeping the one that I'm holding in the same spot and just having little motion changes, and that'll allow me to change from straight up and down to this more sideways motion here without really having to move the location of the chuck that I'm holding. So that's a fun drill that you can work on if you'd like. If you're just having trouble controlling it though, just work on keeping it going in that one direction. And now let's go ahead and go to the other side. Same thing. My left hand is the one that really needs to practice this. Yours probably does too. That's okay. Okay, keep going. One thing I want you to try to avoid, don't put the thumb on the spine of the chucks. Hold it with the thumb right on top of your index finger, but don't put it on the spine of the chucks. I know you're gonna want to, just don't do it. Ooh, that's starting to angle off. Let's just change that, go back to the front. There we go. That's what I want. So, see, my left hand's giving me a little bit of trouble today. Doesn't want to do this. And that's fine. Just work on it. Give it a few more seconds. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the third upward strike. And now you've actually, if you've been mimicking me, you've done the third upward strike before. It's, we do it when we go from basic stance number 2 to basic stance number 3. At least I've been doing that. How you do that might have been a little bit different. So now let's go over the third upward strike. So the third upward strike looks like this. I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna land it on top of my arm. So I'm going to the third basic stance. This is actually how I remember which one's the third basic stance, because it's the third upward strike. So this ending position, the third basic stance, is the ending position for a third upward strike. Other hand is right on the center line. Whenever I want to grab the chuck from here, I just bring my arm in and I lower the tip, right? See how the tip is slightly higher than my hand? I will lower it down as I bring my arm in, and that gets me to the fourth basic stance. And this is where my third upward strike comes. Now as I do this, I want you to actually point the shoulder of the hand that's reaching at the bottom towards the front. Strike upwards. We want to try to strike as upward as possible as we do this, and flip it over and let it catch onto your arm as you bring that shoulder back. And then we'll bring this arm in, dropping the tip of the chuck down, so now I can reach and grab underneath, point my shoulder forward, and strike upwards. Now as I'm doing this, I'm also getting reach. So I'm not going to be in here, right? See how close I am with my elbows? I'm going to reach out. I want to imagine that I'm striking at the bottom of the chin of my opponent, and then I'm just retracting in. Now, if you do strike somebody with a third upward strike, there's something very important that you need to realize about this. As I'm striking with this one, I'm gonna have this ricochet, and say I hit at the chin, or I'd even just hit here, the ricochet usually comes straight back here, right? So as I'm boom, sometimes it goes all over the place, but if you hit directly up, hitting up on something, then a lot of time it'll come back. So you have to allow the ricochet to die off before you bring it up. If you just strike and you bring it back to your face while that ricochet is coming back, well, trust me from experience, this is not a fun thing to do. If you hit here and then the chuck is coming back and you bring it and it smashes you in the face. Trust me from experience, I did it with hardwood and I regret it. It was not fun, not a good time. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's practice this. We're gonna do 40, so it's gonna be 20 on each side. Ready? Starting your fourth basic position. 1, drop it down, grip. 2, catch on top. Notice how the black is on my arm, and then I drop it down. 3, arms up relatively high. And don't go so much power that it hits and bounces off your arm, right? That's not what we want. We honestly kind of sink down as we do it. That's 4. Sink the arm to diminish that power. Other hands in front. 5, 6, point that shoulder, reach out. 7, 8, try to go right up that center line. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, right up that center line. 27, reach all the way up. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, last one, 40. Okay, so that was our, what? Go ahead and say the name of it. Probably typed out and you can see it, but you know, it's our third upward strike. Now we're going to go for our first sideways strike. So, first sideways strike looks like this. So the sideways portion is here, and then after we catch it, we release with the top, and we do a third upward strike as our reset, okay? So now, as you're going for this third sideways strike, one of the big mistakes that I see people make is they start down low, and they raise it up kind of like this 45-degree angle and try to catch it. So you can do that, but I want you to go sideways, right? The name of it is sideways strike. It's our first sideways strike. Now, we're going mostly sideways, and as we get here, it's just going to drop down slightly. So the angle of the chuck will be here, right? I don't want it to be this big 45-degree angle, and that would be, you know, behind my back as I'm doing it, as I'm passing through, but it's just over and just under. So a lot of these strikes I actually have names for that I made up. I mean, the official names are just the numbered names, but I call this one the lateral meaning sideways, over under, because it goes over one shoulder and gets caught under the other shoulder, just like this. So from here, go sideways, catch, try to catch it in the black. And this hand that's passing it, right, it gets close to your neck. I honestly put the middle knuckle right here of my thumb right on my neck as I bring this around and I catch. Bring it around. You can see I'm touching it to my arm or to my neck as I'm doing this, and then catching this right underneath. Okay. Now you also might have trouble if you bring it up too much, right? If it's too straight and you try to catch it on the point of the shoulder, you've got to go underneath the actual shoulder, but still on top of your shoulder blades. This is the point where you want it. You don't want to go right on the outside of the shoulder, and you don't want to go too low on the kind of point of the shoulder blade. You want to avoid those. Okay, so we're going to rep this out. This one, you're probably going to make a lot of mistakes at first if it's your first time doing it, and that's okay. Just try it again. I'm going to try to go slow. We're going to do 40 of these. If you fall behind, that's fine. Just keep going. Try to keep the same pace if you can. Ready? 1. And upward strike to reset. 2. Upward strike to reset. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. Try to keep it going straight up. 18. Mostly sideways as you're going with this. 19. 20. 21. 22. 23. 24. 25. 26. Oh, if you miss it, it's fine. Go again. 27. 28. 29. 30. 31. 33, 34, 35, keep it going, almost there, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Great job. That was our first sideways strike. Now that one might have been a little bit difficult for you. Who knows, maybe you're really good with chucks and it was really easy for you. I think a lot of the time people, if they're not going here, the big mistake is really that it just kind of bounces out of their hand, and that just comes down to, have you been practicing your gripping? And it does, it happens, it'll just hit your hand and you just didn't get the quiet timing right and it bounces out. So no worries, just go and try it again. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to combinations. So the first combination that we're going to work today is going to be an upward 1, upward 2, and now with that top hand I'm going to strike again, sideways 1, and then we're going to use that up 3 to reset. So one more time, after the up 3, remember we're going to bring the elbow in as we drop the tip of the chuck that we're holding down to reset, up 1, 2 as that circle, and now the hand that just struck strikes again, sideways 1, upward 3. Okay, so I'm not going to count out these, I'm just going to kind of talk you through them, so I want you to work at your own pace with this. At a certain point I will tell you to try to pick up the pace though. Ready? Begin. Up 1, try to go through that center line, up 2, side 1, up 3 for reset. Up 1, up 2, side 1. That wasn't right, that's why I gotta say it right. Up 1, up 2, side 1, reset. Up 1, up 2, side 1, reset. Up 1, up 2, side 1, reset. 1, 2, side, 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 reset. 1, 2, still trying to go up the center line with those 1 and 2. Sideways, reset. Again, up that center line. 1, 2, side, reset. Okay. Let's try to start picking up the pace. If you still need to go slow, or if you try to go fast and you're just constantly missing it, slow it down, go to pace that you can. But I want you to try to push it just a little bit. You will have a few more mistakes, but let's try to get it quicker. Ready? Begin. Up 1, up 2, side 1, reset. 1, 2, side, up. 1, 2, side, 2, side, up. 1, 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 2, side, up. Keep it going. Make sure they're still nice, clean strikes. Going right through the targets that you've seen. Give me one One more, finish up what you're doing. All right, great job. So now we're gonna go to our second combination of the day. So I'm actually gonna say this combination, and I want you to try to do it before I say it. Not before I say it, but as I'm saying it, but before I demonstrate it. So start off here, basic stance number 4, and go downward strike number 2, downward strike number 1, sideways strike number 1 with the reset. One more time, downward 2, downward 1, sideways 1, and reset. Got it? Cool, so now I'm gonna demonstrate. So we're gonna start off downward 2, which has that outside circle. From there, we're gonna go downward 1, no circle, sideways 1, catching underneath, and raising it up for that reset, and then we reset. Now, on this one, I don't actually have to lower and grab again. I just, from this position, go straight down. So we go downward 2, downward 1, sideways 1, reset up. Ready? So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go relatively slow, figuring it out at first, and then as you feel more comfortable, start to pick up the speed, and I will tell you when I want you to really push the speed, right? To a point where you start to make a few more mistakes, but we're getting better there. Ready? I'm gonna start on basic stance number 3, and begin. Down 2, down 1, side 1, and reset. And one more thing, you can keep going, and I'm gonna talk about this. I want you to now start to push the shoulders forward as you're doing your strike. So with this downward 2, I'm pushing my hip and my shoulder towards the front as I go here. Same thing with my downward 1. I'm reaching out and pushing that shoulder forward. Sideways 1, same thing. I'm even raising my heel a little bit to turn that hip. And then I come back and I strike up with that third upward strike. So start adding a little bit of hip and shoulder motion in with these strikes, and continue. Down 2, 1, down 2, down 1, side 1, up 3, down 2, down 1, side 1, up 3, down 2, down 1, side 1, up 3, 2, 1, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 3. Keep it going. Okay, so now I want you to start pushing the pace a little bit, and I want you to try to pick up the speed, even if it means that you make a few more mistakes. I want you to try to push it, and go as fast as you can without making a mistake every single time. Ready? Begin. Down 2, down 1, side 1, up 3, down 2, down 1, side 1, up 3. 2, down 1, side 1, up 3. That's not downward strike. Down 2, down 1, side 1, up 3. Down 2, down 1, side 1, up 3. 2, 1, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 3. Oh, that wasn't right. 2, 1, 1, 3. Now I want you to try to match my pace, or even go faster if you can. It's okay if you can't. Ready? Go. I start pushing so fast that I forget what I'm even doing. Do a few more. All right, finish up this combination. Okay, breath in and out. All right, so as you notice, I usually like to say them while I'm doing them, and because you and me might not be going at the same pace, it's okay if you say them while you're doing them as well, right? Go ahead and do that, even if you have to kind of ignore what I'm saying when I'm doing it. it makes it easier to block out the feeling of doing other things, because sometimes our muscles, especially as you continue training, you'll feel something and then you'll be like, oh, I want to go here. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's not what I was doing for that combination, but my body just wanted to do it. So sometimes you have to say it out loud to remind yourself, stay on track, do this specific combination, okay? And that's fine. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to practice our gripping. Let me warm up my hands a little first because it's freezing here. So we're going to practice our gripping. We're going to do the same thing that we did last time. So we're going to do 3 sets of 30 seconds. I'm only going to count for my second set. The first and last one, I'm just going to kind of play around with it and maybe talk a little bit. I want you to count for all of yours, okay? So let's go ahead and get 30 seconds on the clock. Ready, mark, get set, go. All right, make sure that they're going one directly over the other. Try to make sure to keep the tension on the string the whole time you're doing this. We've got that little bit of a drop down, push forward, raise up, and bring back in to create this slight circle motion with the tip of the chuck as we're doing this. Try to keep it in the black every time you're doing it. Try not to hit yourself as you're doing as well. Time. Okay, take a second, breathe. Remember what number you got. Remember, your goal is to beat 40. Yes, you're close to beat 40. Good job. Okay, we're gonna do this again. Maybe now my fingers are warmed up. Not quite. Something a little more warm up, but that's all right. I'm going to try to beat 60, and you're gonna try to beat me, but at least 40, okay? If you drop it, pick it up, continue going. Don't just stop and be like, pick it up. Try to still beat your time. Even if you drop it, you can still beat 40 with a drop, okay? You just have to push. And I know it can be a little hard, and I know when we're actually pushing, we make more mistakes. I make a lot more mistakes when I'm actually going for my speed instead of just relaxedly doing this, okay? So, I'm gonna count this time. Ready, set, begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, oh, I messed up, 54, 55, 56, 57, 57. All right, well, I made a mistake. I didn't quite beat my time, but that's okay. Did you beat your time? Hopefully. We got one more. So we're going to go, same thing. Let's give ourselves a few seconds rest. All right, don't get discouraged if you can't meet your time. When I first started trying to meet the time, I wasn't able to, even the 40 seconds, right? And I'm saying that, I think that even the 40 seconds, because I had already been using nunchucks for, I don't know, 9 years prior to picking up and learning the WNA style. So I thought I was pretty good, and I couldn't beat it because I don't know if I was getting anxious or what, but every time I tried to really rush to go faster and pick up the speed, I would just drop it. Or it would hit my thumb, right, as I was doing it, and it bounce out of my hand, and little mistakes, but it's okay. Just keep practicing. Okay, last set. I'm not gonna count on this one. I still want you to count. Ready? Begin. Push the pace as much as you can. Try not to death grip it. You don't have to death grip these chucks, right? Just hold them. But if you squeeze too tight, then you have too much muscle tension in your arms, your muscles start to get tired, then you feel like, oh, I'm working too hard. Just relax and apply the pressure, the power to make it go faster without keeping all the tension. That's time. Okay, just like before, I want to know what you got. Did you beat the 40 seconds? Did you come way under? Did you drop it? Let me know what your best time was out of these 3. Comment down below, and that way I can know. It's also a good thing for you because it will give you a reference point. So later on in the course, you'll remember one day randomly, like, oh yeah, I remember we were doing those grips. Let me see what I got. And you go look at your comment and be like, wow, I'm so much better than I was back then, right? Plus it helps me because if you guys comment on stuff, then I get shown to more people, and then more people watch it, and the more people who watch it, the more that I want to make these videos, and then the more videos you get. You see how this works? So go ahead and just comment, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. It's down there somewhere. Go for it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna quickly recap what we went over today. So, today we went over our 5 basic stances. Our first basic stance was our attention stance. Our second one was our open ready stance. Our third was the on the arm. Our fourth was the around the shoulder. Our 5 was under the arm. After that, we reviewed our upward strike number 1, our upward strike number 2, our downward strike number 1, and our downward strike number 2. From there, we went to our spinning. We did inside spins. So we did an inward inside spin, and we did an outward inside spin. From there, we practiced our third upward strike. And after learning our third upward strike, we learned our first sideways strike, which goes sideways, the lateral over the shoulder to under, lateral over under. And then that goes with a reset using the third upward strike. From there, we did 2 different combinations. The first combination was up 1, up 2, side 1, and using that third to reset. And our second combination was downward 2, downward 1, side 1, and again using that third as our reset. After that, we did our gripping for speed. We did 3 sets of 30 seconds, trying to beat 40 grips. So hopefully you enjoyed today's class. If you did, like I said before, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment what you got, do all that fun stuff, and I will see you in the next class. Have a great day.